Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the newly renamed Let's Get Crystal Clear podcast. So, if it's one thing I learned through my 20s and early 30s, is that I have this terrible habit of jumping into things before I've really sort of understood what it was going to take and understood where I was going, how to drive the situation, how to steer things in the right direction, just not starting things on a solid foundation and throwing shit to the wall and hoping that something sticks and not really knowing what the implications of that would be. I failed in the past when I moved to LA, and I let fear hold me back. I let confusion hold me back. I let distractions hold me back. This is true for relationships, finances, jobs, passion projects. And now that I've gone through that and I've come out of it on the other side, the wisdom that's come from that is, girl, don't do that again. So this time around, I'm hyper focused on my goals, but I don't know what I need to do to get there. Everything I'm doing right now terrifies me because I don't want to fail. I have my crystal retail shop online, but I've separately been trying to build a personal brand to speak on this podcast and in my YouTube channel and Instagram about personal development type of topics. I've been a little bit all over the place when it comes to my online ventures, and I was spreading myself too thin, and I was like, what am I doing? Why do I have this Kelsey's Crystals happening over here operating as a product business? And then I have all this other content creation that I'm doing. Why not just merge them all together under one single umbrella and get clear on my strategies, get clear on my goals and the type of content I want to produce and things like that? Because people who are into crystals are into self-development. Like there's some sort of change or growth that they want. I've been going out and getting as much information as I can. So I wanted to share some of the takeaways that I've learned in the last couple of weeks and months as I've been really strategizing for 2022 and wanting to build just a solid foundation for my online businesses and just move forward with clarity. First thing is that I had to get clear on what I was working towards. I really had to understand that I want an online business where I have multiple streams of income coming from this business. I'm helping people. I'm doing something that is true to me, that resonates with me on a very personal and spiritual level, and that I'm enjoying the process. For me, it was, I want to do content creation. I also want to continue to work with crystals. I love the process of sourcing crystals and running a product business and putting the crystals up on my site. I love doing live sales on Instagram. I just got back into those this year. I love that. I didn't want to give that up, but I also want to do content creation. I had to understand, what does that look like? What does that mean as far as the end goal and what I'm working towards? And for me, it was, this is an online business. It's content creation, and it's operating this product business that is an extension of that. I have to also understand that as I move through, all of my goals, my miniature goals that I'm sort of kind of stepping stone goals that I have along the way, I'm going to learn a lot and grow a lot, and goals may change, perspectives will change, and I have to be comfortable adjusting to that, but still have some sort of solid goals that I'm working towards. So that's the first thing. So whatever it is you're doing, first set the goal. Ask yourself, what do you want? What is the point of you pursuing whatever it is that you're pursuing? Whatever venture, endeavor, relationship, whatever, why are you pursuing this, and what do you want out of it? So it's getting clear on those things. And then what I had to do was I had to clear out distractions. And this was on so many levels: emotional, physical. My apartment has been super cluttered and just has so much just shit hanging around that I don't need. So in January, I did a little Marie Kondo session on my house where I went through things and threw out things that didn't spark joy, took them to the thrift store, whatever. And that in and of itself is a longer process for me. I feel I'm constantly decluttering my home and sort of purging things out. I typically keep a bag, a big black contractor bag, somewhere in my apartment that I'll just set aside for either trash or donation. And throughout the week or the month, I'll just toss things in there that I know I'm not going to use or whatever. So that's a tip for you guys. But I had to get organized and really clear out things that were distracting me or causing me any sort of anxiety or frustration. It includes people as well. Nowadays, I'm starting to take advantage of the focus mode on my phone, because I'll get text messages or phone calls throughout the day from people. And I'm like, okay, I can't have these distractions. I need to really just be in the zone. And I realize my phone, because so much of what I do is online and on social media, I'm constantly checking it. And while that has its benefits, it also comes with a ton of distractions. So I had to learn to limit that. I'm learning to cut myself off after 10 or 15 minutes of being on social media and putting that focus mode on so that I don't get distracted by a phone call or text messages. So it's setting the boundaries. It's clearing things out, setting boundaries with people, setting boundaries for yourself as well. And then the other thing that I've been doing is just trying to consume as much information as I can, because you don't know what you don't know. If you don't know something, how do you figure it out? You got to go out into the world and get the information. So me, for instance, if I'm trying to build this online business and really have this be a foundational thing, something that's going to sustain me, then I have to have the knowledge, I have to have the information. And so I started to look at other people online who are doing online businesses full time, who have an online presence, whether they're influencers who also have product businesses, or they're online coaches who are doing it full time. I've gone and I've researched, you can call it market research, competitive analysis, whatever, but I've gone out here and just started to see, okay, how are people actually sustaining this? YouTube is a huge resource, and actually how to make money online, I've realized or learned through research that the highest paid niche right now online is how to make money online. I know you guys come across all of these coaches online, people saying they'll show you how you can invest your money, or they'll show you how you can be an online coach, whatever it's a million people who can show you things online. And I get it. That's just the nature of the game, of the times that we're living in right now, because everything's online. The pandemic is happening. Everybody's flocking to connections through the internet. It's a booming business. It's a booming niche. So little tip, if you have information or know-how or whatever that you feel like you can monetize or teach people online, definitely look into it, because it's a booming industry right now. Just Google like the highest paid niches online, and you will see that the number one is teaching people things like how to make money online. So there's that. But I say all that to say that you have to go out here and get the knowledge. I wanted more. I wanted to understand habits and how I could build good habits for myself that would really withstand anything, because forming good habits is difficult. So I recently finished the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, and it was packed with so much information, but it was really easy to understand. And I'll probably have to revisit the book and kind of skim through my highlights and things just as a refresher for myself. But I've learned a lot about how we have to push through those thoughts of, oh, I don't feel like doing this right now, or, oh, this can wait till tomorrow. It's having the mental discipline to push through and do the things that you know need to get done. So that's what I'm currently working on, because I every day go through not feeling like doing things. And there was a line in the book that said, confusion leads to laziness. I know that when my apartment gets cluttered and I start to leave things out everywhere and don't put things back in its place, that's a sign that I have a lot going on in my mind, and I need to kind of calm down, get clarity, be still, and step back from whatever it is that's causing me frustration and try to figure it out, try to get clarity and seeking that information. And so that's a big thing. Going out and making sure you're doing your due diligence to get the information that you need, whatever it is. If you're trying to be a better communicator for your partner, if you're trying to start a business, if you're trying to lose weight, are you educating yourself on how to do that? Are you seeking out information from people who have done it already? And all of this is free. All this information you can find for free online. So use the resources that are available to you. You know that saying, surround yourself with people. What is it? Surround yourself with whatever. Y'all know the saying, or they say the other one is you are a reflection of the people you keep around you or something like that. What I've learned is that it doesn't necessarily have to be people that you communicate with directly. If you find somebody online who they're working towards goals too, or you're inspired by them or whatever, consume their content, like listening to this podcast or whatever. If I'm somebody who motivates you or inspires you, listen to my content, because it's through what I'm putting out that I share the things that I'm doing that have helped get me to where I am and what I'm planning to do to get to where I want to be or whatever. So a lot of times we need people, right? We need information from other people, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to personally know that person. It's kind of like being mentored, but you're going out and finding the information yourself and not getting it directly from that person in one-on-one type of situation, if that makes any sense. So just seeking the knowledge. And then the other thing that I've really been doing is reflecting more frequently. So a couple months ago, I was really into journaling and writing things down because I felt like I was going through really emotional times. I was going through a breakup and a move back in with my parents and just trying to get clarity on a lot of things. So I was journaling a lot just to get my feelings out of me and onto paper. And sometimes you don't want to reflect on those type of things. And eventually I got to a place where I let everything go. I gave myself a clean slate, a fresh start, which is another tip. Allow yourself to be in this moment of, okay, I'm starting fresh from here on out. What do I have to do to plan to make sure that I don't fail or I don't go back to my old ways? But one of the things that I'm doing now is I'm checking myself. I'm checking in with myself. So because I have these goals of doing the full-time content creation, monetizing my content, I have to stay on top of what I'm doing. I have to make sure that how I'm spending my time and what I'm working towards is actually on the path to monetization. Because if it's not, then I'm doing something wrong and I'm just going to end up wasting time doing things that in the short term or long term aren't going to pay off. So I'm getting into this habit now where I'm like, okay, emotionally, I'm good. I've worked through a lot of things. I feel like I'm finally focused on the things that I want to focus on. And now I can move forward and figure out a plan. But every now and then I have to check myself and be like, is what I'm doing right now getting me a step closer to where I want to be? Or is it derailing that? Or is it taking me a step backwards? So I'm constantly asking myself that. And most recently, in the purpose of the rebrand for this podcast is because I realized that I was trying to separate those worlds. I was trying to have my personal brand and then my crystals brand. And I was like, I'm doing too much. I need to merge it together. I need to simplify, because I started to feel like I was getting derailed. I started to get frustrated. I started to get overwhelmed, and it was leading to no action. So I was like, okay, stop, pause, check yourself. What are you doing? How are you spending? How is this helping you? Is this taking you a step closer to where you want to be, which is monetizing your content, or is this taking you away? And I realized it was taking me away because I was becoming so overwhelmed with trying to figure out what type of content to post that I just wasn't posting anything on a lot of things, or I was posting to one account while the other one was being neglected for a few days or a week or whatever, which from what I learned in the world of being a content creator, you can't have accounts that are neglected. You constantly have to have updates, fresh content being put out. And so I didn't want to build two separate brands if one was going to constantly be suffering, if one was constantly going to be lagging, because that's just not what I want to stand for. That's just not how I want to be perceived. It's not who I want to be. So just constantly checking in with yourself and asking yourself, hey, if it's a relationship, is this relationship hurting or helping you? Is it pushing you a step further to where you want to be? Is it derailing you, or is it taking you backwards? You need to reassess. You need to readjust and figure some things out. But it's the check-in with yourself that is important, because if you can't be honest with yourself, I've said this before on the podcast, if you can't be honest with yourself, who the hell can you be honest with? So you have to have a good relationship with yourself and check in with yourself. I've also been learning a lot about self-awareness, which is a huge topic that I won't get into on this podcast. But definitely spend some time learning about self-awareness. I would suggest that to anybody, because self-awareness is one of those things that's like, we all think we have it, but until you give it enough time and attention, you realize that you really don't. And then it's also difficult to maintain. But yeah, so constantly just checking in with yourself. And the final thing that I've been doing is just managing how I speak to myself and sort of the grace that I show myself, and making sure that me giving myself grace or trying to take it easy isn't crossing the line of laziness or being stagnant. So what I mean by that is, I've had goals of losing weight, and if you guys followed my personal Vibrant Kels Instagram account, you know that I was doing the Minute of Movement challenge from mid-December to mid-January or so. I would do one reel a day showing that I was working out to one song a day, just to give my body some movement. But the goal was to build a habit of working out consistently, just doing something consistently, not worried about the timing, not worried about the physical results, not worried about am I losing weight or whatever. I'm just worried about getting up and doing it. And so I did that for 30 days. I think I fell off 2 days. And then when I stopped doing the reels, shortly after, when I stopped putting the content out, I stopped doing the Minute of Movement. I stopped doing that every day. I hadn't done it enough to build the habit. The habit hadn't resonated with me. And so now I'm back to the drawing board, but I had to tell myself, okay, that's not okay. Whereas before I would be like, oh, it's okay. You can always get back on, start over again, do it over. You got this or whatever. But I have to show myself some tough love and say, no, you messed up again. You got to get up. You got to be disciplined, because you're better than this and you deserve better than this. So I have to be aware of the conversation I'm having with myself and making sure that I'm holding myself accountable, because honestly, there's no one else that's going to do it for me. Something like weight loss is very personal to you. Unless you have the money to pay for a personal trainer, you have to hold yourself accountable. I'm trying to redefine that relationship and that conversation that I have with myself, to not be hard on myself and be like, girl, you fucked up. Here you go again, fucking up. It's not like that. It's do it now so that you don't have any regrets. Let's go. We don't have time to sit here. We don't have time to be stagnant. We don't have time to not hit your goals and hit the mark, because any little thing where you fall off, you risk that trait or that bad habit penetrating everything else. If I can't work out consistently, then that could translate over to my content creation, and I won't create content consistently. Everything works together. You got to have all the gears moving together. And I am not really good at that. Like, I'm good at keeping 1 or 2 gears going. And then once I feel like those are at a good place, I'll try and get the other ones going. But then the original 2 stop moving, and I can't operate like that. In order for me to get to a place where they're all moving consistently at the same time, like a well-oiled machine, I have to change the conversations I'm having with myself. I have to change the tone to be filled with accountability, but also love, and also understanding that these are the goals that I set. And no one's going to go after it but me. No one's going to do it but me. And so if I don't, then where I'm going to be is where I was in the past. And that's what the past has messed you up. You didn't accomplish what you wanted in the past. So it's time to do things differently now. So I won't keep repeating it, but I feel like that one is really important, is just understanding the conversation that you have with yourself. So to summarize everything I just said, the tips that I just sort of gave you guys, it's to get clear on your goals, get clear on what it is you're working towards, clean out any distractions, whatever that is for you, clean them out, seek out information that you don't have, because you don't know what you don't know. So you got to go out here and get the information. Check yourself, reflect on how you're spending your time, set constant little frequent goals to check in with yourself and make sure that you're doing what it is you need to do. And to finally work on the conversations you have with yourself, the tone that you use with yourself. Hold yourself accountable. Be honest with yourself so that you can accomplish your goals and not move backwards. I'm saying all this to help with stability, because the goal here is to be stable. The goal is to spend your time and put your focus on things that are going to keep you engaged and pay off for you in the long run. whatever it is you're working towards, whatever it is you're trying to make sense of, understand, I feel like these tips, if you just follow them, will help get you to a more stable place, get you to a more calm place. But the thing is, it's not going to be easy. Nothing worth having in life is easy. It's easily attainable. Nothing. It's going to take hard work. It's going to suck. It's going to take you not feeling so good about the mistakes that you've made, and that's okay. But it's constantly, like I said, checking yourself, understanding the conversations you're having with yourself, and getting back on the path. You're just diverting yourself back. You're almost like a navigation, like you're rerouting. You constantly have to reroute yourself because it takes a while to build good habits. So I'll close out here, but if you guys made it this far, I thank you so much for listening. So with all the rebranding that's going on, if you want to contact me, you can follow me on Instagram at kelseyscrystals. That's the only account I'm going to be managing moving forward. And I thank you guys for your time. I'll see you guys in the next episode.